I'm going to read something that I wrote. I write a lot. Got a lot of thoughts going on in my brain. I can't really speak and process the thoughts all at once. So I spend a lot of time actually writing emails to myself. I write long emails to myself. I get things off my chest and I send them to myself, and that's where they sit. So I find it actually very therapeutic. So today's my birthday, and I laid in bed this morning just contemplating life and, my life and how I feel like I deter from other people's lives. I feel like I live a pretty unique life at this point, and there's not many people who would understand my struggles that I have right now. So I'm just going to read it, and I guess this is more like a reading. Okay. It is said that each baby chooses its parents, where it wants to be born, based off previous life connections, journeys, or traumas. So I chose to be Becky Butt, born in Fort McMurray, Alberta, to parents Barb and Tony Butt. I chose to return to Earth on December 9th, 1981, the same birthday as my father's mother, Joan Benson. There are things in this world science will never be able to tell us, the eternal mystery being death. We as humans will never understand death, but to all the people who believe science is the be-all and end-all, then you are missing out of seeing and contemplating some pretty miraculous mysteries of existence. Why did I pick this life? If each soul, each human, has a point to their life, a lesson to learn, or blood to resolve, or trauma to heal, then what is mine? Previous to 2020, I was like most people that never really bothered to think about it, but I find I can't stop thinking about it now. At a glance, I was born in Alberta, and I came back to Newfoundland as a baby. My soul was fed Newfoundland nature, with family taking me on nature walks and boat trips, and cousins who I admired and played with, grandparents for sleepovers and sweet treats. Looking back, I have had an innocent childhood that any soul would be thankful to have. I always said the ocean spoke to me, so perhaps I chose my dad and Sea Cadets for that reason. As time went on and my soul continued its journey, I went out west and began my career in hopes that one day I'd be able to get back to Newfoundland. At the age of 30, I had a baby and subsequently a person to embark on the family journey with. Up to this point, my life had seemed to go on a steady keel of just living. I didn't feel like my journey was any different than anybody else's. I did make it back to Newfoundland, but found myself struggling with infertility. Now, we are all human and we all go through our shit, but you really don't know anyone else's struggles unless you have been there yourself. I watched most everyone I knew grow their families. I watched people have baby after baby with different partners. I watched people get accidentally pregnant, and I watched people have abortions. I even watched as some people who struggled seeked fertility treatments and succeeded, but never me. I went to seek fertility treatments myself. The treatments had indeed increased my chances of cancers, but I did them anyways. For me, a baby would have been the ultimate trade-off. I know no one other than me who have done these treatments and didn't succeed, so I thought it was only a matter of time. I had a partner-typed character in my life. Yes, this is what I'm going to call this person, because I don't think he deserves much more of that in my life. The fertility, and we had unexplained infertility. So I couldn't have another baby for unexplained reasons. So this is where my problem with science has came in. So, science is the be all and end all of this existence. And yes, I mean, science is a scientific formula. It can do things and stuff, but even when it comes down to infertility, they have a set number of tests to do. And when those tests are done and nothing comes back, obvious that it's unexplained infertility. So if science knows everything, then unexplained doesn't really back up that statement that science knows everything. So unexplained infertility, that was the reason why I couldn't have a baby. as the years ticked on, watching people choose to have babies and succeed, I put a 40-year-old mark on me. The partner character in this skit was the only one who really knew my struggles with this. And I had said if I didn't get pregnant when I'm 40, then I'll have to make myself okay with that and accept that's where the cards lie, and I would continue on with life and make myself happy with that. We put our name on an adoption list in 2013. This was when the struggles really started to happen, was in 2013. And in 2019, after completing the process and after getting a letter from the government stating that we were indeed approved for a 3-sibling group of children, then I got another letter in the mail that said that they took that back and they weren't going to give us any children. I was 38 years old when this came. So again, I felt like I was blocked from having more children. This whole fertility thing was almost 10 years of rejection for me, time and time again, no matter what measures I took, even if I personally couldn't conceive. But now I can't even have another person's baby. This was more difficult than anyone could really understand. I felt like no matter what I tried, fate or whatever it is was blocking me. No, you're not. It's not happening for you. Why? Why isn't it happening for you? At 38, I had to force myself to know that indeed I don't think it was happening. And I did do that in my head, and I was content with thinking that the partner character and I would raise our daughter, and then we would go off into the retirement stage where we could probably even date, because we really didn't date at first. I mean, I was pregnant with Phoenix 2 months after I pretty much had met him. So there really wasn't much dating. Our whole relationship was pretty much around the fact that there was a baby there. So entering COVID, and we all know how that goes. Just a whole series of no's. Lockdowns, stay by yourself, everything. So in December of 2019, I felt a lump. I was 38 years old, still a little sour about the baby thing, and still letting a little glimpse of hope remain that the doors were not fully closed. By March, I had been told I had cancer and underwent surgery. I did all of this with my father. He is a good man. I'm so thankful I picked him to be my kin. And maybe that's why I picked him. Maybe I needed somebody to do this cancer journey with, and I knew it was him. We'll never know. So being too young for a mammogram and having the doctors tell me it's unlikely to be cancer at your age, that's what I was told. Once the biopsy came back, I got a phone call on Friday, and she told me to go into the office on Monday. And I even said at the time, like, seriously, you're going to make me wait the whole weekend to tell me, like, such important news? And it was the secretary, so she was like, I don't know. So, wait, I did. I go into the office on Monday, and, she said, yes, unfortunately, you have cancer. Okay. So, to everyone who knows me, I've done foolish things in my life to avoid cancer. In fact, in my head, cancer was a harsh thought and my absolute fear. Yes, cancer was my number one fear in life, because my number one fear in life is death, and cancer to me was a sure sign of death. So I don't think that way anymore, but you have to understand that, like, I had to face my fear, my number one fear in life, straight on in a doctor's office, because it came through. Like, some people are scared to be in a room with a million spiders. Mine was in a room being told I had cancer, possibly undergoing chemotherapy. None of these things I like the thought of. My number one fear. So, to be sitting there and facing your fear straight on is not a nice feeling. I called the partner character with the results. Why wasn't he here? Well, apparently in his head, he knew he wasn't coming back in December when he chose to leave. He just failed to tell me that he wasn't coming back. So that's his get out of jail free card for him. He knew he wasn't coming back in December when he left, and I didn't tell nobody. I was then faced with 8 rounds of chemo and unknown rounds of radiation. This was my worst thoughts being born. I could not. The thought of chemotherapy to me was, I have panic attacks. I had panic attacks like when I went into surgery. I did everything fine. I sat in the waiting stretcher like to go into the operation. I cried by myself, but like I was there. And the nurse wheels me into the operation room, and she puts me on this little tiny bed, and I'm able to do it, and she's talking to me, and we're talking, and they're laughing about something. I don't remember why. Everybody was laughing. Oh, funny. It was a great day. And I just went, no, I'm going to panic. And I just started hyperventilating, and like they just put the mask over me, and out I went. Because I just, surgeries, chemotherapy, these kind of things, I don't like the thought of. So I knew that I was going to seriously panic for this chemotherapy that was edging day and day closer. I said to the doctors, like, I'm going to need to be sedated for at least the first one, maybe the second one, until, like, I can make my brain okay with this, because I know myself, and I know I can't sit in a chair and watch you put something in my arm and know that these chemicals are going in my arm. I can't do it. So big panic right then, but waiting for that day to come where I had to start chemotherapy. This is where I write it. Everything was scary. So I'd panic, maybe freak out, maybe pass out. Either way, they were going to have to chase me out of that hospital to get the chemo hooked up to me. So this character in my life, he doesn't deserve a spot in my life story, I feel. So I'm not even giving him a name anymore. He's the partner character, and that's about it for that. We had an 8-year gap between the two of us. For years, this played on my mind. It pissed him off. But in my mind, in my head, I was thinking that there he was, feeling the partner character for all my 30s, knowing that 40 was my personal cutoff for children. It was always in the back of my mind that he would take all my 30s and then, fuck off when I got to be 40 and have a new family, because he's 8 years younger than me. So in reality, my fears, which pissed him off, actually came true, because he did stay with me for all my 30s. He stayed with me for all the infertility, and I always had questions in the back of my head, maybe if I had somebody else I could get pregnant. And I even asked him one time, maybe if I just go have sex with somebody else, maybe I could get pregnant, kind of as a joke, but kind of serious too, because that was the level of desperation at that point. Like I really wanted a big family. So, he did in the end. So, I feel like at the least he could have done was, yes, done it when I was younger, because, the whole time where he was mad about the age, he did exactly that. He took my 30s from me, and, then he fucked off. And, he's free right now to have all the children he wants, married, whatnot. Whatever it is, he's free to have a choice right now to have a baby, and I am not. So a little bit bitter about him, and that's only that kind of front. I feel like he could have done that solid to me, even though, he did leave like 3 days after my surgery. So he said he wasn't coming back. Now, he said he knew he wasn't coming back in December, but like I said, he failed to tell anybody else. But anyways, that's a blessing in disguise. Good riddance. So my first round of chemo was scheduled for Friday, and on Wednesday I got a phone call saying that that wasn't going to happen anymore. And I was stage 4, and I'm going to die. I have 5 years max. This was said to me over the phone. So no positivity, no, other people are out there living with this. Nothing. Just 5 years. Sorry. Shitty card. Shitty card was my explanation that I got. So here I am reflecting on life, and so I drew the shitty card, apparently. Or did I? This is my contemplation. So now I'm back to where I started. So I feel like I'm unsuccessful in a lot of ways. Like most of you who are out there, you have a career, say number 1, maybe. I had a career. I chose to stay home. I wanted to be a mom. And thankfully, I did stay home, and I didn't have a daycare or anything raising her, because she was my one and only. A little different for somebody who maybe has more. So that's the career department. I also can't get a job here in Newfoundland with my diplomas and bachelor's degrees. So, but my soul chooses to be here in Newfoundland. So that's the career front. The marriage front, obviously very unsuccessful in the marriage front. The child front, unsuccessful in the child front. Like, I know people like to say stuff like, oh, you got one, you should be thankful. You know who says that? People who don't have the struggle. That's who say that. So it's fine. You don't know what to say to me, but please stop saying stuff like, oh, you've got one, you should be thankful. As if, what are you saying? You've got 2, so were you not thankful for the first one? You had to have the second one? Or what's up with that? So, unsuccessful in the baby department. Now health department, Unsuccessful apparently in the health department. Not only do I have to have cancer at the age of 39, it had to be terminal cancer. So I feel like I'm like this bubble of like this soul, I guess, and I'm throughout here in the universe, and I'm really just like bouncing around like a crazy person. These are my thoughts on a daily basis. I'm bouncing around like a crazy person. Why does some people get to have great childhoods? They get to have marriages. They get to pick how many kids they want. They don't get cancer. And then there's other characters out there who get one of them, or 2 of them, or like me, I get all of them. What is it? Science can't explain this. Maybe I picked this as a soul. Maybe the soul who picks the parents, maybe they also are aware of the existence of this soul, what this soul's journey will be. As of now, I kind of really don't know where my journey is supposed to go. Like, clearly it's not meant for living in a house with your spouse and your 3.5 kids, and you both work your jobs, and life seems to be great. I've tried those things. Clearly this is not the road that my soul is on. So how do I figure out where I go? You can do soul readings. So I've done a soul reading, and it said to me that my soul is an old soul. And the reason why I only have one child is because Phoenix's soul is an old soul too. Our souls have been together in previous lives. One time where I was actually the child of Phoenix's soul. And she was mean. mom, and she has to come back this time to pay her karmic debt for being an awful parent, being an awful mom to me. Her soul had to return as my child so that she could be my one and only, because I was her one and only, and she could pay back her karmic debt. So that sounds reasonable to my brain thinking, like, and she said that my soul has to teach Phoenix's soul how to open up, and I'm a key factor in Phoenix's growth. And I mean, I really am, because I'm her mother, and I'm the one who's always been here for her. You know, she is by herself, so she is an only sibling, and all of my life choices, or my life path, because they're not my choices, but my life's path has affected her life path as well. And now she's a soul who's trying to pay back her karmic debt, but I've thrown into the mix that perhaps I'm going to die on her. So I have to leave a child of school age motherless. And that's sad, that if that's my path, was my existence just to have Phoenix and then leave at a young age, and maybe then her spirit can go on and fulfill its job of whatever it has to do. I guess we don't know, but back to the beginning, science can't explain everything. There's a lot of thoughts that go on in my brain, and I had to read that off a piece of paper today and get that off my chest. Happy birthday to me!